everybody? It's your boy Z Got Keys, back at it again. And today I'm going to tell you something very important. The worst feeling in the world is buying a wholesale deal and not be able to sell that deal to a buyer because you're in it too high. So in this video, I'm going to go over how to run numbers for a property and find the ARV in a non-disclosure state specifically. This is for non-disclosure states such as Texas or any other non-disclosure states out there. How to run those numbers for free without the use of MLS. In Texas, the best way to run numbers is to have MLS access, period. So just understand this one thing. I can explain to you as best as possible how to run numbers for free without MLS, but you will only get the most accurate numbers using MLS. So what we have to do is we have to be very conservative with our numbers. We have to be thorough with our research, thorough with our due diligence, so that way we do not get a deal locked in too high. So let's start. First, you need to know your appraisal rules. So appraisal rules is essentially, if I hire an appraiser to come and look at the property and for him to give me a value on that property, what are the things that appraiser is going to look at? That's what I want to know, because that is how I need to run my numbers. So one of the first and foremost things you need to know is you want to be in the same subdivision, okay? Stay in the same subdivision as much as possible. If you can't, you can go as much as half a mile out of your subject property. If you're in a rural area, and I'm talking, maybe it's not rural, but if you're in an area where your lot sizes are about an acre or more, then you can kind of go out more like a mile. And if you're over an acre out, maybe you're like 2 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, then you're probably looking at 2, 3, maybe even 5 miles out, depending on where you are. So 1 acre lot size or more, you want to be at 1 mile out. But preferably, you have to stay in the same subdivision. If you have numbers in the same subdivision, you're going to prioritize those over anything else. Also, you want plus or minus 200 square feet. If you're in the bigger end of the spectrum, like 3,000 square foot plus, then you're looking at 300, 350 square foot plus or minus is what you're going to compare your property to. So if my property is 1,500 square foot, I'm going to compare it to 1,300 square foot properties all the way up to 1,700 square foot properties. You're also going to want to compare your property for the same property type. So if it's a ranch, you want to compare it to other ranches. If it's a 2-story, you want to compare it to 2 stories. Historic to historic. Don't cross any major roads. If you're in a subdivision, your house is maybe right on the edge of Main Street, and you have another comp just right over. Maybe even it's the same subdivision, but it's across a major road or even a highway. You don't want to prioritize that comp. You want to leave it out, and you want to make sure you're staying within your boundaries, within your major roads in your same subdivision. 5 years or more in terms of year built is what you want to compare yours to as well. So if you're a 1970 build, ideally you want to compare it to 1975 to 1965. But you can drag that out to at least 5 to 10 years. So if it's 1970, you're looking at 1980 to 1960. You don't want to compare a 1970s build to a 2000s build or 2023 build or anything that's new construction or better. That's a totally different comp value. So now that we have our appraisal rules, now we're going to put this into action. If you're in Texas or any non-disclosure state, the best software that I like to use to run my numbers, if I had no money, if I didn't have any access to MLS, I'm going to go to propwire.com. Propwire.com is a free software that I use in my business to pull data. Number one, I don't really run numbers off of here because I have access to the MLS, but I'm going to show you how you can run numbers on this software without access to the MLS. And what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to compare those numbers to what actual MLS data says. So that way you can see the difference. So first I'm going to log in here. Perfect. Okay. So I'm not going to use any property specifically. I'm just going to zoom in to the DFW Metroplex. And we're just going to take any property that we can. Let's go to Arlington. Why not? Let's do, because I literally just bought a property in Arlington. So let's go scroll in. So we got a ton of data here. And I'm going to take this property right here. All right, perfect. So I'm not sure if you guys can see the address. You're not supposed to, but this property is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,300 square foot. Okay. So again, with ARVs, an ARV, to find what an ARV is, you really have to do research. It's not something that you just plug into an algorithm and it spits out a number. It's something that you really have to look into and deep dive and research, because you can really yourself up on your numbers and get into some trouble if you're not granular on your numbers. So again, this property here is a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,300 square foot. So I'm going to filter this down. They have a couple solds. I want solds within the last 3 months. The last 90 days is what I want to see 100% of the time. If I can't get any data within the last 3 months, then you go back in time. Never do you want to go out further away from the property. You want to go back in time to find your comps if you can't find anything within 3 months or less. So 3 months, square footage plus or minus 10% or more, that's about 200 square foot. And it's a 1-bathroom property. So I want to compare it with other 1-bathroom properties. I don't want to compare 3-2 with a 3-1. All right, so now I'm going to scroll down. I have one property here, and that says it sold on May 13th for $228,000. Okay, perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the pictures of this property, because I need to know whether or not this property was remodeled, or was it sold as is? Was it outdated? Was it a junk house? Like, what did this property look like when it sold? Because that'll tell you a lot of what you need to know on the values of your property. So in this one, Realtor.com says it's a 2-2. And by the way, Realtor.com has the most data in terms of pictures for properties. I find a lot of times Zillow doesn't really have pictures of a lot of properties, but Realtor.com does. So this one, it's got, your old style metal windows, it looks like. You got carpet in the living room. I don't think that's granite countertops. It looks like white Formica countertops. Formica is like the almost like the wooden, the cheap countertops, I guess you can say. It's not stone, so it's the cheaper version. And you got some brownish paint. It's outdated. It's not remodeled. These pictures are trash, as you can tell. So definitely this is not a retail comp, but it is an as-is comp. So you do want to pay attention to your as-is comps as well, because your as-is comps will also tell you what you can offer a specific property based on the condition of what it's in. So I'm going to go back in time more. I went to 6 months, and we have 2 more comps that we're going to look at. One at 245 and one at 253. And I'm going to go and check out and see what these houses look like. Okay, realtor's not giving me pictures on that one. I'm gonna see if maybe another website has them. Doesn't look like it. All right. So I'm gonna try another comp and see if I can get some pictures on that one. That one sold for $253, which is $25,000 over the as-is property that we saw. Okay, perfect. So it looks like this one you have some new siding. You have a really nice contrast between the black roof and the white siding. The roof looks like it's brand new. Windows are vinyl, brand new windows. You can tell by kind of the white-ish trim that's around it and the bluish tint. Those are new windows. But that's all the pictures that we see that they're giving us. But from the outside, from what I can tell from the outside, it looks like it's remodeled. So that's what I'm going to use. $253,000. Sold at $211 price per square foot, 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1955 compared to a 1945. So this is a decent comp. Now the thing about this is we're using a free program, okay? And you can see right here it tells you estimated, right? 253 estimate. So that means that this comp, if I look this comp on the MLS, it might not even sold for 253. It's an estimate. And the reason why they do that is because the MLS, there's some contractual agreement that they have with all their data providers that they can't provide actual numbers for what properties have sold for. They have to give an estimate, and the estimate varies by a percentage. I think it varies by 2 to 4%. So it could be 4% higher than 253, or it could be 4% lower than 253. To be safe, I'm always going to err on the conservative side. So if this comp sold for 253, I'm going to multiply 253 times 0.96. And the reason why I do 0.96 is because it's 4% below 100. So 0.96 is deducting 4% off of 253, which gives me an ARV of 242 for a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. From my perspective, I'm going to run my numbers based off an ARV of 242,000 if I'm running my numbers. And I could be wrong. It could be more. It could be less. But at least I know I'm on the conservative side. And as long as your numbers are more conservative than aggressive, and you get that deal locked in, then you could be in for a real surprise. Maybe you're thinking that you're going to get a $5,000 deal or a $10,000 deal. But if your numbers are more conservative, then you might get a $20,000 or a $30,000 deal. It happens all the time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare this ARV that we got for this property with what the MLS says. So I'm going to take this address. I'm going to go ahead and pop this into the MLS. And I'm going to use all the same rules. This one is, so I'm going to do 1,100 square foot all the way up to about 1,550. And I want 1-bath properties. And it gives me 0 matches. So I'm going to get rid of the square footage. I get 1 match. And I got 1 property, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 600 square foot. That's not what I want. So I'm going to go back in time. I'm going to go 180 days. See if I can get anything. Okay, perfect. So I get this one. 1,100 square foot. Ours is 13, so it's a little bit bigger. Subdivision wise, Scott Drive, Where's our property subdivision wise? Ours is on Highway Park Drive. But this one, let's take a look at the photos on this one. This one looks like it's been remodeled. Yep, it's been remodeled. Brand new luxury vinyl plank, fresh paint, new windows, new subway tile, black quartz countertops. I mean, this is a remodeled property. It looks like it's probably for like an older person since it's got a ramp instead of stairs, which I don't think that affects value at all, but it's just interesting. But this is a remodel property, and that sold for $240,000, right? Now, this is all I can get. Now, if you look, it doesn't cross this major road on North Cooper Street, so I think I'm in the green. It's half a mile out. It's a remodeled comp. This is the best comp that I can get. And I compared that to what I got on PropWire, which I got 242, and the MLS is telling me I got 240. So my math serves me correctly. So you want to make sure that you're erring on the conservative side. Deduct 4% if you're running on anything that is not MLS in non-disclosure states. Deduct whatever you think that ARV is, deducted by 4%, and that will get you closer to where your actual value is. So if I'm making an offer and MLS is telling me 240, I'm running my offer at 242. I would probably round that down to 240 anyways, but the extra $2,000 isn't really going to hurt because I also overestimate my rehab. So I hope you guys learned something. Please take this seriously when you guys are running your comps, because buyers do look at that. And if you tell a buyer that your comps are way higher than what it really is, you lose credibility. So please take your numbers serious. And if you guys want to find out how to conservatively run your your rehab numbers without seeing the property, totally virtual, I have another YouTube video for you guys to check out in the link below. So stay tuned, like and subscribe, and thank you guys for watching. Peace out.